This can't be right. Are you sure this is correct?
No.
You can't be serious with this! This is unacceptable!
Where on earth did he get that kind of money? That's exactly what Karen, yes, her real name, screeched across Heritage Capital Bank the second she saw the mountain of cash in James Miller's hands. You could practically hear the glass of her ego shatter. But let's back up for a second. James had just walked in, calm, chill, dressed in black jeans, a plain tee, and a casual jacket. Nothing flashy, nothing suspicious. He was just there to make a simple deposit. He strolled straight into the business account section, nodded politely, and said, "Good afternoon, I'd like to make a deposit." But then, cue the eyebrow raise. The teller, a middle-aged white woman with judgment baked right into her expression, looked him up and down like he'd wandered into the wrong neighborhood. "Oh, this section's for business clientele. The regular line is over there." You could practically smell the condescension. James didn't even blink. "I'm in the right spot," he said coolly. "Just left the studio, need to make a deposit." Then, with the calmness of a man who knew exactly who he was, he sat down, unzipped his bag, and handed over a thick stack of cash. That's when Karen's filter flew out the window. Where on earth did you get this much cash? Now, most people would have snapped, but not James. He just said flatly, "From my business." Karen squinted like she'd just been told aliens were real. "Uh-huh. Before we go any further, I need to see some ID." Funny how the last guy, white, in a suit, had waltzed right through without a single question. But okay, James stayed calm, reached into his wallet, and handed her his driver's license. Karen frowned, looked from the ID to his face, then asked, dead serious, "Is this really you?" You could feel the tension rising like static in the air. "Yeah," James said slowly, "it's really me." But she wasn't done. "I'll need another form of ID," she said flatly. James raised an eyebrow. "What for? This is the first time I've ever been asked that." Her reply, "Bank rules. I can ask if I suspect any suspicious activity." Suspicious activity? Translation, you don't look rich enough for this kind of cash. Can you believe she actually said that? But hold that thought, because what James did next flipped the entire script. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe to Silent Divide Tales, because tomorrow's story is one you do not want to miss. James could have snapped back, but instead he smiled, that calm, dangerous kind of smile that says, "I've got time today." He reached into his bag again. "You know what? Never mind. Here's another one. My college ID. That should work." Karen took it like she was handling a fake dollar bill from Monopoly. Her eyes narrowed. Her lips curled. "Stanford? You honestly expect me to believe you went to Stanford? This ID looks fake." The audacity in her voice could power a small city. "I'm going to need to see a passport," she added, tone sharp enough to cut glass. James's patience thinned, but his composure didn't crack. "Why would I carry a passport to the bank?" That's when her face twisted like she'd just bitten into a lemon. "Oh, you want to be a smart guy, huh?" she snapped. Then, with full drama, she turned her head and called across the room, "Stella, can you come here a second, please?" A few seconds later, another teller, a woman in glasses and a neat blouse, walked over, looking confused. Karen shoved the ID in her face. "Does this look real to you?" Stella leaned in, examined it for all of 2 seconds, and said, Yeah, that's definitely real." Karen's smug grin vanished faster than her credibility. Her jaw clenched, her pride evaporated, and she muttered, "Okay, thanks." Stella just nodded and left, probably wondering why she got dragged into that circus. James sat back, calm as ever. Karen turned to the cash and started feeding it into the counting machine like she was punishing it. Then, James, unbothered, reached into his bag again. "Oh, I'd like to deposit this too," he said casually, sliding a check across the counter. Karen glanced down, and her face froze mid-breath. $20,000? She read aloud. Her eyes shot up. "Seriously, what are you doing with this kind of money?" James looked her dead in the eye. "That's not really your business." Karen picked up the check, scanned the name, J. Miller Capital, and her mouth fell open. "You actually expect me to believe you work there? This is a fraudulent check, isn't it?" And that's when James, cool as ever, said, "You're more than welcome to call the company and confirm for yourself." Can you imagine having the nerve to accuse a customer, in broad daylight, of fraud just because he doesn't look rich enough? But Oh, this was just the warm-up, because what came next? Karen took it to a whole new level. Karen leaned over the desk, eyes blazing with that special brand of superiority only a Karen could master. "Oh, please," she sneered. "You probably don't even have a real job. Why don't I call security instead?" James slowly stood, his patience officially clocking out. "You know what? I'm done. Just hand me my cash and check so I can leave." But of course, Karen wasn't about to let that happen. Her lips tightened. Her hands slipped beneath the counter. Click. "Security," she barked, loud enough for the whole floor to hear. Within seconds, a tall, muscular black security guard stepped in. The irony wasn't lost on James. "Is everything okay here?" the guard asked calmly, looking between them. Karen pointed at James like she'd just caught him robbing the vault. "No, it's not. This man handed me a fake ID, lied about where he works, and now he's trying to cash a fraudulent check." James just blinked. Slow, tired, unimpressed. "More like she's profiling me," he said evenly, "and making assumptions when all I'm doing is trying to deposit my own money." Karen rolled her eyes so hard they nearly escaped orbit. Then she said it, the line that made the entire room freeze. "You people are so typical, always using race as your get-out-of-jail-free card. I know a crook when I see one." Gasps. Silence. The sound of every moral line being crossed. James locked eyes with her, voice low but sharp. "Everything you just said couldn't be further from the truth. You claimed I didn't go to college, but not only did I attend one of the top universities in the country, I graduated at the top of my class. After that, I built my own company from scratch." Karen scoffed, crossing her arms. "Oh, really? And what? You expect us to believe that?" James didn't flinch. "Yeah, because I'm not just an employee at J. Miller Capital, I'm the CEO." You could hear the gears in her head snap. Karen actually laughed, loud, fake, condescending. "Oh, please, get him out of here," she said to the guard. "You can tell he's lying." But instead of moving, the guard tilted his head and said quietly, "What if he's telling the truth? Maybe you should call the number on the check, just to be sure." The whole room went still. Karen froze. Her mouth opened, then shut again. Finally, she muttered, "Fine." And that, my friends, was the beginning of her downfall. Karen snatched up the phone, still pretending to be in control. "Heritage Capital Bank," she said tightly. "I've got someone here trying to cash what appears to be a fraudulent check. Can you connect me to the owner of J. Miller Capital?" The line clicked. The room went silent. And then James' James' phone started ringing. Every head turned. James looked her dead in the eye, lifted his phone, and said calmly, "You see, you're calling me." It was the kind of silence you could feel. Karen's hand dropped from the phone like it had burned her. Her mouth opened, but no words came out, just pure, unfiltered embarrassment. I don't understand," she stammered. But she didn't get time to finish, because at that exact moment, the branch manager walked in. A man in a sharp blue suit, middle-aged, confident. "Mr. Miller," he said warmly. Karen blinked, her voice suddenly small. "Sir, you know this man?" The manager's smile vanished. He looked right at her. "Yes, this is James Miller, owner of J. Miller Capital, our biggest client." You could practically hear her jaw hit the floor. The same woman who'd spent the last 10 minutes trying to verify his identity was now standing face to face with the man who basically kept her paycheck afloat. Stephen, the manager, turned to James. "Is everything all right here?" James crossed his arms. "No, Stephen, everything's not okay. Karen here just stereotyped me because of how I look." The air got heavy. Karen's voice cracked. "I mean, can you blame me? Just look at—" "Stop!" Stephen cut in sharply. "You should know better than to ever judge a book by its cover." Then, turning to James, he said firmly, "Mr. Miller, I'm truly sorry. I promise this will never happen again, because Karen here is fired." Karen froze. "Fired? No, you can't." "Oh, but I can," Stephen said. "We've had complaints before about your profiling. I should have acted sooner." The security guard, still standing nearby, motioned toward her belongings. "Let's go, ma'am." James just watched, calm, collected, victorious. The same man she tried to humiliate now walked right past her, head held high, following the manager into his private VIP office, the one she'd never even known existed. Can you believe karma hit that fast? 1 minute she's calling security, the next she's being escorted out by them. That's what happens when prejudice meets power, and power wins. If you believe respect should never depend on skin color, share this story and hit subscribe to Silent Divide Tales. because tomorrow we've got another real life showdown where arrogance meets its match and loses.